Robin, I've always had a deep interest in actors' first films, first experiences with movie making. Now, you were in two films, and one of them, you had Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, that was The Wiz, but you were just a child. What was your...
Yeah, I was just a child. I remember, God, this is forcing so many things to come back to me, but they were looking for kids that could ride the skateboard. My friends are behind me laughing, I think. But, and you had to get dressed up in graffiti. There's a scene where we like all come out of the wall and you like ride the skateboard and you dance, and that's what I did in The Wiz. And I just thought it was so incredible to be working with Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. And what happened was, it's in a major scene. We're kind of all throughout the movie, I think like 6 of us. So we had these rehearsal days, and I'll never forget seeing Diana Ross for the first time. That was pretty incredible. And seeing Michael Jackson, that was pretty amazing. So that was one of my first experiences in film.
Robin, I've always had a deep fascination in the way that people react to actors who have been in soap operas. When you were doing soaps, did you ever get any unusual reactions from people?
Well, you know, I don't think that I did one long enough, but it's funny that you should mention that, because I grew up on All My Children, you know, with Susan Lucci. And so when I decided, you know, I'm going to do this for a living, of course, being in New York City, you say, well, you know, you'll do a soap opera. And even now, I watch Susan Lucci, and I watch All My Children, and I see them on the street walking in New York, and I feel like I know them. So they probably have strange reactions from me, you know? But I think it's a great job, but yeah. I don't think I was on there long enough.
Okay. Let's talk about A Rage in Harlem.
Okay.
Let's talk about an audition, not your first audition, but your second audition. Now, you wanted something extra to kind of put you over the top to get the role. Now, you were sitting with your sister, and you decided to go to a store. Now, tell me about that.
I was trying to physically decide how this character would be, and I decided that this character would definitely not wear the traditional pantyhose, but instead probably the traditional garter belt, and I didn't own one, so my sister Stephanie and I went to a place called Trashy Lingerie. Trashy Lingerie, as a good friend of mine would say. And we went there, and you have to become a member, and I paid $2 to become a member, and they kind of buzzed you in, and you go into this dark place with red velvet plush sofas, and I searched for a garter belt and hose with the seam up the back, and it's quite an experience.
Now, doing the auditions, I spoke to Julianne Phillips a couple of years ago, and she spoke sometimes when your name's in the news, that sometimes it's hard going into auditions. Did you feel that sometimes that maybe your fame was working against you when you went into?
Well, I definitely felt at times it was working against me, not necessarily when I was going into this particular circumstance, because a lot of the people that I was working with or that were in the rooms had seen me before everything, and those are the same people that I used to audition with before. So, you know, it's a very small, close-knit place, so these people knew you before, and that's always comforting. But I can understand definitely what she's saying, but I think it's so important when so much is happening in your life to stay as focused as possible. And it's also quite a tool for acting to be focused, so you definitely learn how to do that, to block everything else out and just do the work, and that's what I did.
Now, your career seems to be divided, your acting career, in 2 stages.
What stages are they?
Well, the TV stage, and when you did A Rage in Harlem.
Right.
How key do you think that film was to your acting career?
I think it was very key. I did it in during the 4th season of Head of the Class. I think everything you do is probably incredibly instrumental. I mean, it really allowed me to be a young woman. I mean, I went from being a kid sitting in a classroom to then being a woman. So I think that was very important to show people that you are. I mean, with Head of the Class, we did it for 5 years. So you're growing up, but you're still playing this child, and then you get to play a woman. So that was, I think, incredible for me.
I've always been fascinated with the roles that actors turn down. Have you had to be particularly careful about like schlocky type of offers that come to you that you don't want to do?
Yeah, I've had some pretty schlocky offers, and then I've had offers that I think people think are very, very good, and I haven't done them. So for me personally, I do things that really respond to me. I don't listen too often to what responds to other people. And in fact, when I have listened, it hasn't worked out for me. So.
We've met before. We spoke on a Rage in Harlem, and we talked about this just before the interview. And I remember I was in a rush to get a flight home. It was very important, and they'd already broken you. You had been doing interviews all morning, and it was your lunch break. And then you heard that I needed to do an interview, and you came back, and you were so gracious and so friendly. And I left, and I went back, and people were saying, "Oh, what was Robin Givens like?"
You said, she was so gracious and so friendly, and they said, "No way."
Well, basically, that's what it was. They expected you. I mean, I hate to say the word, but the B word. They expect you to be like that.
What B word is that?
Well, it was, I think we can guess. But is it an uphill battle for you? Do you meet people, and do they have that preconceived notion of you?
I think I disappoint them incredibly. I mean, first of all, like, nobody believes that I'm as tiny as I am. Everybody thinks I'm probably like 5'10" and this, this powerful woman, and I don't feel that way. But I don't know. I don't think about it as an uphill battle. I pretty much I'm myself, and whatever people kind of get from that, they do.